Maddie Zak's joining us from Georgia, Lake Country. Maddie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you. I appreciate your time and taking a minute to join the podcast. We had some technical difficulties logging in. I appreciate your patience. It's always learning something new when trying to record these things remotely. So really appreciate it. Maddie, your marketing is pretty on point. We connected on Instagram. Your account is phenomenal. I love the way that you've curated your content, and it's
Thank you.
um, it's really well produced. So I'm going to ask you a few questions about that in just a little bit because I think um, I think listeners will be really interested in learning maybe some marketing tips when it comes to
Yeah.
Instagram. I always like to start these out with a little bit of information on the guests. So if you could share for listeners where you're from originally, and what led you to this crazy career called real estate.
It's been a crazy journey. I grew up here at Lake Oconee my entire life. I moved here when I was 2 years old, and I went off. I told myself I was never moving back here to Lake Oconee, such a small town, but I knew that there was a lot of growing that was going to, happen here. I went to Georgia Southern. I graduated there with a marketing degree and a finance degree. And as soon as I was graduating, my mom and Lynn, that's my mom and dad, they were branching out on their own, and they were doing Kim and Lynn Logan Real Estate. And I thought, what a great opportunity. And I did my intern with them that summer. And then next thing you know, I got my real estate license and came back and started doing real estate with them.
Wow. So right out of school, first career.
Yep, first thing and only thing I've ever done.
Awesome. I love it. If I were going to think of the best degree or undergraduate study, field course of study for real estate, I would probably pick marketing and finance. That sounds like
Yeah.
a perfect alignment for a real estate career, a great way to launch a career for sure. So that also explains a little bit why your marketing's so excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm up here in the Charlotte metro area, and I focus primarily on the Lake Norman region.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of similarities between Lake Norman and Lake Oconee, although Lake Norman's a little bit closer to Charlotte than where you guys are in relation to Atlanta. So
Right.
I feel like when I looked and did a little bit of research on Lake Oconee and Lake Sinclair, it seems more peaceful, a little bit
Yeah.
more tranquil out there. Magnificent homes, beautiful
Yes.
lakes, and it looks like all the same, water sports that we enjoy here on Lake Norman. You guys love down there as well, like wake surfing and jet skiing
Yep.
and all that stuff. What's the market been like down there?
COVID, we went through COVID, and that was just a really crazy, crazy time. People were leaving the cities, definitely Atlanta,
Hmm.
and they were coming down here. And not to mention, we have a Ritz-Carlton here. So that really drove a lot of people to Lake Oconee and the proximity to Atlanta. So now I'd have to say the market is starting to just a little bit soften, a little
Hmm.
bit. But definitely just a lot of listings right now. People are still buying, lots of contracts still.
Hmm.
Just prices, you're not seeing them. Sometimes if you price it right, you're going to get multiple offers. If you're not, it's going to be sitting on the market.
Yeah, we're kind of in a sort of a leveling out phase here, I would say as well. I think even the market's even shifting to favor buyers in a lot of
Yes.
ways, even here in Charlotte in the Lake Norman region. But so that doesn't surprise me. I think that that's pretty common throughout the Southeast and the Southwest.
Hmm.
But I would say that we're in pretty good shape considering our proximity to Charlotte, and I would say you guys are probably in pretty good shape too,
Yeah.
considering your proximity to Atlanta. Are a lot of the homeowners there? Are these a lot of these homes second homes?
So before COVID, it was 50-50.
Uh-huh.
And after COVID, it's more 75-25. A lot more people are starting to move out here full time. They learn how to work from home.
Yeah.
But I do have to say, with Reynolds, Lake Oconee is really big out here. That is a big one. And as long as they continue, MetLife owns Reynolds now, MetLife Insurance. And as far as that, they're doing new golf courses, new restaurants. And as long as they're continuing to grow, Lake Oconee is continuing to grow.
Yeah, that makes sense. The Ritz-Carlton property is really impressive. I ran across that in my research when I was looking into the Lake Oconee area. And that looks like a magnificent property. Have you spent some time there?
I am there all the time.
Are you?
If I'm not, yeah, if I'm not in Reynolds, I'm or working, I'm at the Ritz. So
Nice, nice.
just a really fun place to be, and you can pull up by boat and grab lunch.
That's super cool. How long have you been in the business now?
So I've been in it for 8 years.
8 years. Okay.
Hmm.
Your Instagram account, I think last time I checked, you're around 25,000 followers. That's really impressive.
Thank
It
you.
looks like you've leaned into video a lot, reels.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
how impactful has your social media presence and your Instagram marketing specifically? How impactful has that been for your business? Would you say?
Big. It
Yeah,
has really changed my real estate game, 100%. With everywhere I go out here at Lake Oconee, oh, you're the girl from the videos, you're the girl, and people reach out, people from California, that see me
yeah,
on Instagram. So it's really changed my game, but I want to make it fun. I want to make it fun for people to watch. I want to talk about new things. Real estate, of course, is the focus here, but I also want to make it enjoyable for people to watch and tell them what's new that's coming to Lake Oconee. So it's changed my real estate game for good.
yeah. I noticed that about your feed is that there's a nice diversity between what we typically see in a real estate account, which is just closed, just listed,
Hmm.
just sold, etc. But you also blend in a fair amount of local lifestyle stuff, which I think is super important and interesting for those that are, not only shopping for homes or thinking about moving the area, but just want to learn more about the area.
Right.
And your reels do look like a lot of fun. Do you partner with someone on filming those, or do you do it all yourself?
So I've always partnered with Jay Bentley Media. He's been
Okay.
phenomenal out here. I do have to say I come up with my own ideas though. I have a vision for it, and when I want it, I tell him. He wanted to kill me, in the beginning, but he started to realize that the ideas that I was shooting out, he really liked. And then he's taught me a lot. So recently, I just went and bought my own drone. This is probably within the
Nice.
past 3 months, and really just been working on that. My boyfriend's been shooting me doing videos, and it's been successful in that. Now the homes, I will pull him in, Jay back in for homes and
Yeah.
stuff, but just to get more videos out, that was the best way for me to do that.
Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. That makes sense. Because the quality of your posts, especially your reels, are really, really good. So
thank you.
I assumed that there was probably some support there as far as, production and filming and
Yes.
editing. But yeah, that's cool. I love that. I also love using a drone for social media and for YouTube. And I'm on my second drone now. I'm looking at upgrading yet again. As I got the bug as so many people do.
Yeah.
That's been a lot of fun, and that sort of content really seems to resonate a lot on social media and YouTube as well. So
Yeah. Well, it's Wednesday, and I came up with this new thing called What's New Wednesday.
nice.
And I just got done doing that before, earlier today. And it's just what's new. Lake Oconee is just growing like crazy.
Yeah.
And just recently, within the past year, I mean, we're getting like new hotels on the water, new, Lake Oconee Village. We're getting a new Publix. We're getting Lake Oconee Equestrian Center. And so I really wanted to dig into what's new at Lake Oconee. So
The luxury market seems to be pretty large
it
there in that
is.
region. Is that really where you focus primarily?
Kim and Lynn Logan Real Estate, we don't just I will sell a trailer and I will also sell a $7 million home. So
Uh-huh.
we do it all. We don't try to narrow it down just to luxury. We love the luxury, of course, but we try to treat all of our clients the same, and we love to help anybody that is looking to buy. But the luxury end has definitely skyrocketed here with Reynolds and the homesteads and the golf. Like homestead is 10,000 square foot minimum, on the water, and it's part of Reynolds, and that has really changed the game for us.
Yeah, I believe that 10,000 square feet minimum. That's a large place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. 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 And two outbuildings, so it just keeps bigger and bigger.
Wow.
Um, but with the new golf course, they're putting it in the seventh golf course. Reynolds is this year.
Wow.
So that definitely is something that's going to impact, the Lake Oconee area and the home value.
Have you seen, since a lot of companies have done that call back to the office, back to work type, or not back to work, but back to the office,
Hmm.
rules? Have you seen an uptick in listings from folks who have to go back to Atlanta or back to, other cities, Charlotte, or is that
Yeah.
not a motivation right now?
Not right now. Not right
No.
now. What we're really seeing is people that are, retirement, second homes out here, or they're coming out here just to live full time and enjoy
Yeah.
it. So not really seeing that side of it, but mainly
Yeah.
seeing the retirement. But yeah, people. I mean, we're so close to Atlanta that they can go back for 3 days a week, and get their
Yeah.
work done and come back.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
Hmm.
think I hear, in markets like South Florida and Tampa and Scottsdale and Phoenix and Southern California, I think that there's a lot more of that where their job might be in Boston or,
Hmm.
New York, but during COVID they were able to move to Sarasota and work remotely, but now they have to go back.
Yeah.
They can't just commute.
Stay. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah. I mean, we're right at an hour and 10 minutes. So, one of my really good friends, she lives in Reynolds, sold their home last year, and her husband works out of Atlanta,
yeah.
but he'll come down here, either after work or, 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, yeah, it makes
So,
sense. I mean, an hour and 10 minutes. I used to live in Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. area, and an hour and 10 was an average commute, I
yes,
think in that area. So that's not a
right.
bad ride at all.
No. Mm-mm.
All right, I want to dive into a little bit more about your marketing because
Yeah.
it's really excellent, and it's one of the topics that I'd love to share some insights and expertise for listeners. Um, and for myself, selfishly,
Yeah.
I always learn something from these conversations too.
Yeah.
When did you launch your Instagram account, or when did you really begin to dive into it deeply as one of your marketing channels?
Probably about 2.5 to 3 years ago is when I really started digging. About 3 years ago, I started digging into the reels and the videography and all of that.
Yeah,
I love just marketing, and I started to see. I went to a convention in Vegas, a real estate convention, Inman Connect, and I'll never forget one of the biggest realtors, Glenda Baker, stated, "This is free. Social media is free, and if you're not on it, somebody else is going to be on there." So I think that's really when it hit me that I really need to take advantage of it. And so that's when I started the reels and social media.
yeah, absolutely. Not only free, but it's where your clients, it's where everybody has their eyes and their attention, right? So
Hmm.
if you want to reach someone these days, I think it's less about billboards and radio ads, and it's more
Yeah,
about social media ads and social media presence for sure.
absolutely. Absolutely.
What would you say for someone, given you took a deep dive into Instagram, you're in your third year or so of really uh, awesome production, awesome content. What would be like a piece of advice you would share with someone who is looking at it and going, "Oh my God, what do I post? How often? I don't have time," which is always the excuse, right? And
Yeah.
what sort of advice or tips would you have for those who want to really take their Instagram to the next level but are stuck?
I would say be different. Be different than what everybody else is doing. So, I kept seeing all these posts, like you said, just listed, under contract, sold. Make the time to do it. It's free, even if you're just out and going to a listing appointment, or if you're um, just daily life, if you're showing property, post it. It takes 5 minutes to post something like that. And it really just to see you every day, your audience looking at you, they see that you're working. It doesn't have to be this drawn out huge video if you're a beginner. It can just be a story, or a post, or just a view of the lake or something along those lines. But then from there, just I would say, just try to make the time to do something that's different than what everybody else is kind of doing in your area.
Be different. I think that's
Yeah.
a super valuable piece of advice right there, is to try to differentiate yourself from
Yeah.
everyone else, the herd, I guess. You mentioned earlier the What's New Wednesday
Yep.
posts. I love that. What are some of your favorite types of posts that you find easy and fun and seem to resonate with your audience?
I would say new things. That was definitely why I started that,
Yeah.
new things coming to Lake Oconee. And then also location. I mean, I think you can do that anywhere, but a lake especially. Location on the water. I did one video and it blew out of so many views, and it was just about the location, the north side of the lake versus down by the dam, and the clarity of the water, and kind of where to be on the lake.
Hmm.
That one kind of took off, and I love doing just fun ones I love Lake Oconee. So I love just talking about the lake, whether it's new things that are coming or location. And I did another one the other day. I thought about starting Factual Friday, and that's
Nice.
kind of facts about the market, or just facts about the lake when it comes to docks and shoreline and stuff. There's a lot you need to know when moving to a lake.
Yeah, absolutely. I can relate to that here on Lake Norman with Duke Energy is who created Lake Norman back in the late '60s, and there are a lot of rules and regulations when it comes to docks and shoreline and um, I know Lake Oconee is no different in a lot of ways. That there's a lot of different ownership types as well as far as properties go.
So Lake Sinclair, we connect to Lake Sinclair. So we do Lake Sinclair as well. Our
Uh huh.
company does. We do both lakes. We're connected by a dam. Lake Sinclair is more fee simple and lease lots, that kind of thing. Lake Oconee is all fee simple. The shoreline's owned by Georgia Power,
Uh huh.
but all of the lots are the same. But when it comes, our water doesn't fluctuate here. So Lake Hartwell is close, and you'll find your dock in mud. And here you don't. And then when it comes to boat houses, that's on Lake Sinclair. Here we don't allow boat houses. So little information like that will run you. That's what people. I think that would catch my attention if I was looking to move to Lake Oconee. Facts about the area.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really important fact and interesting fact that the water level doesn't fluctuate there. You mentioned Lake Hartwell, and I've noticed on several of my drives from Charlotte to Atlanta as I pass Lake Hartwell that when the lake level is low, it's really kind of depressing looking.
Yes,
You know,
very, very. I passed it too. Yeah, and I saw it, and I was like, "Is that a lake?" Yeah.
our level here on Lake Norman fluctuates as well, but not that severely. But it can occasionally get low during a drought. But
Mhm.
yeah, so that's interesting. I've actually, it's funny. So what's new Wednesday, Factual Fridays. I've been thinking about a an episode, a 5-minute episode on this podcast called 5 Minute Marketing Mondays,
Yeah.
and just blast a tidbit from guests like you who have
Mhm.
shared some really valuable marketing tips or knowledge for real estate agents. So
Yeah.
I think that's cool to have a tagline, kind of brand, helps brand your social media or your channel.
Right, right. And I felt like people in the area have definitely asked me, I love your new What's New Wednesday. It's kind of telling because everybody's wondering, what is Arabella? That's a place that's coming here. It's kind of like Avalon in Atlanta. So
Hmm.
many questions were around the area. Is that actually coming to Lake Oconee? And so it was informative for people that already do live here as well.
What type of community is that?
That's going to be, so we don't have much shopping here. That's the one thing
Okay.
we have always lacked is shopping. You have to go to Athens, Augusta, or Atlanta or
Hmm.
Macon. And they're all kind of close, but still it's going to take about a day or half a day to go to. So Arabella is going to be the shot. It's going to have restaurants, townhomes, a 9-hole golf course, a clubhouse, and shopping finally, and then health and fitness as well. So hopefully things like, we've heard the talk of Lululemon and then a brewery and a blow dry bar, something like
Hmm.
something along those lines. And then, health and fitness smoothie places, just stuff where people have things to go do and we don't have to go order it off of Amazon or go to Atlanta.
Yeah, master planned type community where they have a blueprint for exactly in an organized way of developing the shopping and I think it's was it live, work, and play, that sort
Yeah.
of mentality. I really like master plan communities. I don't know what the general consensus is, but I love um, I I really do like master plan communities because they are so um, organized and well thought out. normally and planned, and they just look good. Everything looks like there's a place for everything, and everything is in its place, right? So,
Yes.
whereas, some communities they kind of sprout up hodgepodge here and there, with maybe it's the marketing side of me that just loves
Yeah.
a brand, right? Like
Yes.
everything staying on brand.
Yeah.
So one other question that I love to ask guests is, how important would you say networking is to your career, and what does networking look like for you?
So that's a funny, question for me because I love that people ask me, why are you always out? And that's why I don't have children right now. So I thought this is definitely my time. If I'm going to go network, now is it. And so along with social media, networking is very, very, very important. Um, I am out either at one of the clubhouses or out at one of the restaurants here, or going to an event. You always want to be there because if your face isn't there, another realtor's face will be there.
Hmm.
So Kim Logan, the broker of the company, she's very, she believes in that networking, and it's definitely paid off. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it is so important to see and be seen in the community in
Hmm.
which you want to work, especially in this line of work for sure. Um, what are some of the ways, or some of your favorite ways to engage with the community?
Yeah. So we have a Brittany Cares Foundation. My mom started that. So we give back, to events.
Hmm.
So whether it's like, it can be a variety of things. It could be a golf tournament, whether it's signing up for that and being present in that, or going to just like an Opus event, or just going out to eat and making sure you're not always at home because nobody's going to see you sitting on your couch.
Right, right.
Yeah. So just involving or going to the Ritz. Those are people that are guests here at the lake.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
that makes sense. Do you ever engage in the traditional, and I say traditional with finger quotes, also could be considered boring networking type experiences where I don't know if they have BNI where you are, but if there are like professional groups who meet in the area, is that something that you participate in?
We do. We have the young entrepreneurship, like a little group that has that. They haven't really done it lately,
Uh-huh.
but I did used to go to that, which was just nice to meet other, younger people that are working in the area.
Hmm.
Um, and really, I got to say, everything here at Lake Oconee is pretty fun. So there's really nothing that's kind of, even Del Webb with the retirement, everybody's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
fun out here. Yeah,
yeah. Del Webb communities are awesome. Is there a pretty big Del Webb community there?
there is. It's
Yeah.
actually the only lake access Del Webb in the country.
Wow. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, they do fantastic work. Their communities are excellent. We have one here that just south of Charlotte that I've been to a couple times, and yeah, those are awesome communities.
Hmm.
Yeah, I do a fair amount of networking as well, but not so much the traditional BNI type stuff. I'm pretty intentional and selective about with whom I network, but it takes
Yeah,
time, I think, to be able to do that.
it
Like to
does.
be able to connect with the right people. It's not something that happens overnight.
Right, right. I have to tell you, if it's, a new restaurant that came along or something along those lines, it's just this community really isn't huge. So
Hmm.
it's not like Atlanta where you got to, choose amongst 100 restaurants to go to.
Yeah.
Um, so if you're out at one of the restaurants here or if, going, just hopping around, you're going to run into somebody that and it's just always networking. And then you meet their friends and it just keeps going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. Plus, you know, a lot of fun also to share those experiences on social media as well. So
Yes,
it's a great excuse to get out to new restaurants and go out for
right.
lunch and things like that.
Like
Yeah.
Ducks Unlimited, that's not something I'm like hugely into, but I'll go do it and I sponsored it this year. Just,
Yeah.
that's one of the events to network for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. One other thing I wanted to ask you, before I let you go, and something I ask every guest on here, and I think that, you know, the perception of real estate as a career is a little bit different outside looking in than it is in reality, for better or for worse. But the industry continues to grow. It's very attractive to those who want to kind of forge their own way, make their own
Hmm.
way, and do something exciting. It can be exciting. It can be a huge drag as well. It's lots of ups and lots of downs.
Hmm.
But I'm just curious what advice you might have for someone who's either considering a move into real estate as a career, or they're early in their real estate career, just starting out in their journey, and again, feel like they're drinking from a fire hose, right? And just,
Hmm.
where do I begin? Where do I start? What would be your recommendation?
My recommendation would be not to give up, and just keep hustling and go. If you're in real estate, be after it every single day. Real estate, I don't believe it's something that you can be in and out of. I believe that it's something that you just have to treat it like a, you know, not 9 to 5, but just you're in there every day. Now you're a little bit more flexible, but you can't let that flexibility, overcome what your main job is, which is, whether you can start with the marketing, and a lot of people that move out here, they say it's so hard to get started here in this area as a realtor because there's like 400 realtors in this small little area. So people do say that, but my suggestion would be to not give up, to do different things, be unique, whether it's door knocking or, putting mail outs, and see, a lot of those things are cost efficient, which a lot
Mhm.
of people, I think, beginning when they start out, they don't have that money to do that necessarily. So if you don't even have that, just go out, network, always have business cards on you. There's just social media. There's always ways to um, branch you and your company or whoever you work for, but you have to do it every day. It's not, I would say that would be the biggest thing. I wake up and think about real estate and I'll be at dinner. And just because I'm at dinner doesn't mean I don't answer your phone call. Even on vacation, I answer my phone and I have my iPad on me, and just be available 24/7.
That's the job, right? Yeah, you got
Yeah,
to be
that's the job.
available. Yeah. The word I kept thinking of there as you were describing that was consistency.
Yes,
Be, uh, make a plan, a strategy. It can be very, very simple, but just be very consistent in executing that plan, that strategy to network, to generate leads, and to grow your business. You mentioned
right.
uh, you mentioned direct mail. Other than social media, what are some other, maybe even some paid marketing or advertising methods that you lean into?
So Kim Logan, the broker, the way our team works, she pays for the billboard. She pays for pretty much everything. That's a good thing about being on a team. We have our own magazine. We have lake maps, free lake maps with our listings inside. We really go above, and she does above and beyond on that marketing. But she also allows us to do anything that we want to invest our own things in. So whether that's, I do postcards, I send out postcards. I just ordered about 2,500 of them to send out. So as long as and then I also have hit a few other couple digital billboards just to try to get me kind of out there. So I would say print media, I mean, not everybody reads a newspaper, but Kim Logan features in a newspaper, and they might just throw away those postcards, but I don't just do those labels anymore. I handwrite them because I think that's a little bit, I took time to do that. And I think somebody would realize that. They still might of course, throw it away, but they might think that that agent put some time into it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great touch, being able to
Hmm.
handwrite the cards. And do you have a schedule? How often? Like, is that something you also consistently do as far as direct mailing the cards? Is that something you do seasonally or monthly, or how
I
often do you
kind
do
of do
that?
it spring, right, right before we hit the spring market. And
Yeah,
then that's usually once when I do it. I probably do it once or twice a year.
yeah,
If I have the time at the end of fall or right before fall, I usually try to do one as well because that's when people may start thinking about spring. But Kim Logan sends them out as well. So as long as I'm just trying to hit them more than once. So
yep,
that's kind of, yeah, that's
yeah,
kind of the way I do it.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, I think it's just that's another place that it is very effective as long as you're showing up consistently.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Maddie, this is awesome. You're definitely going to make one of my 5 minute Marketing Monday segments for sure.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time, and it's been so great to connect with you, and appreciate you joining the podcast. For listeners who want to learn more about you and connect with you, what's the best way?
Instagram and TikTok. Those are the two places you're going to find me. And Instagram, it's Maddie underscore Kim and Lynn. And, TikTok, I don't even know what my thing is. I could tell you in 2 seconds. It is Maddie Lake Oconee.
Maddie Lake Oconee. Okay, cool. I'll have the link at least to the Instagram for sure in the description, and also a website to Kim and Lynn Real Estate.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this has been super great connecting with you. I really appreciate it, and I think that a lot of the tips that you shared were amazing. So I can't wait to share those with our listeners. So again, Maddie
Yeah.
Zak, an epic agent in the Georgia Lake Country. Maddie, thanks for joining the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.